처음 영상이 시작되면 화면에는 아무런 메뉴가 나오지 않습니다. 이때 영상 화면에 마우스를 대면 아래에 메뉴가 나옵니다. 만약 화면에 마우스 클릭을 하게 되면 영상은 멈추기 때문에 마우스 커서만 대셔야 합니다. 그 다음에 자막 메뉴를 클릭하시면 화면 중앙에 영어로 된 자막이 나타납니다. 이 상태에서 자막을 선택하기 위해 설정을 클릭합니다. 설정을 클릭하면 자막을 선택하는 메뉴가 나옵니다. 여기서 자막을 클릭합니다. 그리고 자동 번역을 클릭합니다. 그러면 다양한 언어가 나오는데 여기서 한국어를 선택합니다. 한국어를 선택하면 화면에서 보듯이 한국어 자막이 시작됩니다.
If you go back 50 years when I was working on Wall Street and when my brother was working at Procter & Gamble, a young man, and there weren't many women, would join Procter & Gamble, General Motors or AT&T or IBM straight from college. He'd be 21 and as a junior manager, and as he worked his way up the ladder of promotion, he would learn what we call the craft of management. And we believe, my brother and I, that management is essentially a craft. It's not something about which there is a great deal of theory, something you learn how to do under the supervision of a more experienced person. And so as you worked your way up the chain of command, you acquired the craft of management, but you acquired something else as well. I'm going to use a phrase that's been launched by a very great American called Jeff Immelt, whom I'm sure you know is the chairman and chief executive of General Electric. And he says that all managers must possess domain knowledge. And domain knowledge means you actually know a lot about the business of your company. Now that may seem so obvious, it's not even worth saying, but there's a great phrase in the practice of management. One of my favorite Druckerisms is that it's important to state the obvious because otherwise it may be overlooked. And this is the amazing thing that's happened. By the way, I have to blame the business schools, and I speak as someone who is a visiting fellow at Manchester Business School. But it is a fact, I think, that the business schools introduced a new concept, which really came in about 1970, that management was a profession like dentistry or medicine or the law, and you went to business school for 2 years, you came out with a degree in management, and then you could manage anything because you had a degree in management. And you no longer needed to learn the craft of management, so a lot of MBAs would go straight into consultancy or to Wall Street, or they would get onto a fast track in a corporation. So they never really were able to acquire the craft of management, and they didn't really need domain knowledge, because if you're a professional manager, you can manage anything. And so they would flip typically, 50 years ago, most young people, most men, would stay in the same corporation for their entire life, or they might stay in the same industry. It would be very rare for them to move industries. So they acquired domain knowledge. One of the reasons why we've had this appalling credit crunch is that banks are run by non-bankers. They're run by, sometimes they're called financial engineers. Engineering companies are run by people who don't understand engineering. Chemical companies are run by people who don't understand chemistry. And it seems to me that the great problem, the great requirement now is to go back. I know it sounds silly. Going forward will consist of going back, in an important sense, to an age where young men and women joined the company, learned the craft of management on the job, under the supervision of a good manager, and acquired domain knowledge. And that will be a major step forward.